Hello, everybody. This is Dan the Review Man, and today we are going to be going back and kind of going over Dan versus again. And just because, I don't know, I feel like I didn't totally go over it in a completely, I don't know, listening back to it, I feel like I should have phrased things a bit better. I think I phrased things a little too vaguely for me to feel comfortable with the complaints, some of the complaints I made, and like listening to it. I've been, I don't know, going back and like, you know, listening to Dan the Review Man. I mean, not Dan the Review, Dan Verse. I listened to the review, but I also I've been going through the series, and because I don't know, I feel like I still think it's not great, not even good. I still don't think it's a good show, for at least for me. Though a lot of people seem to like it. But I don't know. I feel like I phrase things in a way that I'll be talking like I said some things about it are stupid, but like similar shows, and I'm gonna be talking about this like Littlest Pet Shop, for example. I happen to have a more fonder opinion of, but I think there's some similar aspects, and with regards to like how I talked about the jokes in Dan versus sucking, and like I feel like the jokes in Dan versus aren't. I made it out in the first video, like the jokes in Dan versus are like pretty consistently bad, and I think that's true for the first few episodes, or at least some of the first episodes, and even after some of the first episodes, there's still bad jokes, but like not to the extent of the whatever episodes I happened to see that seemed like they had just constant bad jokes or whatever. But or maybe I just hadn't thought about it too much. But I don't know, I'm like, at least I think I might even be almost done with season 2 of Dan versus, maybe not, at least halfway, I think. But again, still don't think it's a good show. Still think it's unpleasant. But I feel like I need to talk about it in a different way than how I did before, because I feel like it wouldn't be unreasonable for people to be annoyed by how I talked badly about it, but we'll talk good about some other things. And so I just wanted to clear that up, basically, I guess. And it really just boggles down to, because I've been comparing it hardcore to Littlest Pet Shop and a little bit of My Little Pony, just because I think my issue with Dan versus is, or at least what I stated was like the jokes are so stupid and so bad and lame, and like people are saying, and I said like the things they say are unreasonable, and I think, I made it out like Dan says things that are unreasonable. I think I don't really know how to clarify it exactly, but like unreasonable is a little. I feel like a lot of people could misinterpret that as like maybe defending it and being like, yeah, of course, he's supposed to be unreasonable, he's a jerk, and I kind of talked about that, but I feel like I gotta phrase it better, like, and to be clear, this also isn't, like, going, from what I've been listening to of Dan versus, I don't think there are that many, really unreasonable jokes or whatever, but there are still there, but that's become less of my point about why Dan versus is bad. The more I've thought about it and been going through Dan versus, but I just wanted to clarify like what I meant, and I still hold that at least some of the episodes, I don't know what ones exactly, at least the first few or something, and even a little after, had like really lame, like just jokes that feel like they're trying way too hard to be funny, but also don't seem like excusable. Like it just feels like, I don't know, someone who doesn't know how to. I mean, like, it just felt like they were incorporating jokes that didn't feel appropriate to incorporate. And again, ignore the like. I mean inappropriate and unreasonable, as in like it just feels artificial and like insincere and like totally ham-fisted. And I don't mean unreasonable or inappropriate as in like, oh my gosh, this is inappropriate, or he's being so unreasonable. No reasonable person would do this. That's not what I mean. I hope that's basically just what I wanted to clarify. That, and I just want to make sure I got that across. That like, yes, Dan can be unreasonable. I get that it's his character. When I'm saying these jokes are lame because they're unreasonable, I don't mean because, like, no normal person would do these things or whatever. This wouldn't happen normally. But just that they feel, like, just thrown in, like, and not at all, like, again, like, reasonable, or like, they feel thrown in and not at all, like, it makes sense for them to be there at all, and they're not at all funny. But again, clarifying now that's I've thought more about it, and at least these newer episodes or whatever don't seem to be as big of a problem. Like, now I think I've turned my what I dislike about Dan versus, and now it's less about the terrible or the falling flatness of the jokes and the constant jokes that are bad, and now I think it's more just the overall maybe I wish there was a better way to put this, like, mean-spiritedness of it, or like the, I don't know, like the I don't really care about anyone, and even Elise has gotten, I don't know, she's kind of fine, but she definitely does not save the show at all. And so it's just like one or two every now and then interactions that are fine, or like that are somewhat entertaining, but everything else is just bland and not at all engaging. And I think, because I was constantly finding myself comparing it to Littlest Pet Shop, because again, like, Littlest Pet Shop has a lot of jokes that don't hit, or even better yet, My Little Pony has a bunch of jokes that, you know, don't really do anything for me. Like, I don't know, maybe I should write down some of the, I don't have any specific instances, but like, you can listen to an episode, and any time you can like recognize, okay, this is a punchline to a you know, this is supposed to be a punchline, or this is supposed to be a joke. They're saying this because it's supposed to be funny, kind of. Like, they're not saying it to like, yeah, you get what I'm saying, I hope. And so that's an even better example, because I don't know, I still find myself, it's kind of hard comparing. I don't know, I'll get a Littlest Pet Shop later, but I think My Little Pony is easier to compare to Dan versus, at least with the lack of actually funny jokes, just because. So both have constant jokes throughout. I think Dan versus way more, but My Little Pony also has, like, you know, lots of jokes all throughout, or attempts at jokes that I don't find funny usually, or but I still find myself stimulated by My Little Pony, and I that's also changed, I guess, as I've been listening to more My Little Pony. I've been like, I don't know, finding myself, I think I made it sound like it was pretty unengaging and, like, not worthwhile at all in the past episode, and listening back to it, or going through more My Little Pony. I don't even know if I'm on season 2 yet. I might be, I don't know. But it's not, I don't know. It can be pleasant. It's definitely better than Dan versus, and like I can, and this is just talking about the dialogue, because I think My Little Pony also has cool things going on with the world and aesthetic, and that's charming, and that also adds to it. But I'm just trying to talk about comparing it with Dan versus in terms of the dialogue and the interactions, and with those, I feel like My Little Pony is more, I hate to say entertaining, because I'm still not exactly, like, entertained. I'm just stimulated, I suppose, in a way that's, like, pleasant to nothing, I suppose. But, like, why is that? Why even if it, like, you know, looking at the jokes, I think that both, I mean, sure, Dan versus probably has more that feel worse, probably. I think, even if they're not many, I think it still has those. But I don't think that one thing is what separates, or what makes Dan versus worse than My Little Pony. 1 second, I got it. And so from thinking I've done about it and trying to figure out why is My Little Pony more palatable than Dan versus, I think it's boiled down to either more engaging voice actors, maybe, or or it could be that it's just the subject matter, maybe, of Dan versus being just more mean spirited, less funny, I get, or I don't know, less fun, less neutral, less, I don't know. It's I guess maybe I should start saying more angry, more annoying. I think that's fair. More I don't know, just overall negativity. And again, not that you can't have that in a, that like all those things can exist in a good show, but I think the jokes need to be funny, or something else needs to, do something meaningful with that. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. One thing I kind like, ugh, I don't really know how good of a comparison this is, but like Harley Quinn, maybe, the cartoon show. I feel like that is comparable. Maybe it's like kind of like Dan versus with the negativity and the pessimism and the cynicism or whatever. But I find it entertaining. I find the interactions enjoyable and all that. And so maybe that's like, again, like just an example that, you can have negativity and pessimism and cynicism and all that stuff in a show and it can be entertaining. But then, okay, if that's the case, what does Dan versus, is it literally just the fact that Dan versus doesn't do good jokes? And so in order to have these have the negative sort of show like Dan versus does, you just need good jokes, and then as long as you have good jokes, or maybe not good jokes, but like good characters and an engaging plot. I think that's another thing about Dan versus that could be detracting it, is just that it's the same. I think it's fair to say it's the same routine pattern or whatever of like Dan has an issue, Dan gets in wacky hijinks trying to resolve the issue, and he doesn't get successful until the very end usually, and that's pretty much every episode is just about something else, and they have different interactions with different people each episode, I suppose, but that's still seems to be the formula. Versus My Little Pony has its own formula, kind of some sort of conflict usually, and I don't know, working towards resolving that conflict, I suppose, kind of. But I don't know, I feel like it has more variety. It helps that they have a larger cast of characters. It helps that those characters are more likable, I think, than Dan, Elise, and Chris, and it helps that I don't know, just it's variety, and I don't know, and maybe it's like a bit more, perhaps more interesting, just because it feels a bit more meaningful what gets accomplished, or what gets worked on, or whatever, what tries to get resolved in My Little Pony, because it's more of a, I don't know, it's got more of a meaningful plot to it, versus whereas Dan versus, it's more like, I don't know, literally just anything can happen, just try and be funny, and it usually isn't, but just gonna be random bunches of just random scenes, all somewhat related to the idea of the problem Dan's trying to resolve, but none of them are very meaningful, or like they're all meant to be jokes and funny, and not really, they're not that significant to the plot or anything. It's not really building on anything, I don't think, usually. Versus like My Little Pony, it's always a progressing story each episode, and I think maybe that helps make it more interesting, possibly, or adds to why My Little Pony might be more entertaining to me than Dan versus. And so that's me trying to figure out, because I still think a lot of the jokes in My Little Pony don't do anything. They're just kind of there, but I don't mind them. And as I listen to Dan versus, I think the majority of jokes that happen, I also don't really mind. But there are still some jokes that are like, oh, this is stupid. But I don't know. I feel like the type of jokes that happen in Dan versus are pretty comparable to the jokes that happen in My Little Pony or Littlest Pet Shop. But I think it's made less entertaining because none of the characters are very likable. Elise is the closest, and Chris is fine, I guess, sort of. But maybe I should say none of the characters are. I don't care about any of the characters. Perhaps is a better way of putting it. I mean, their interactions are occasionally entertaining or occasionally interesting or stimulating, but I don't. Even with those, even in those moments, I don't care about the characters. Versus My Little Pony, I don't know. I'm a bit more inclined to care, I think, just because they're not all cynical, pessimistic jerks. And I mean, not that Elise and Chris are total jerks, but they're not exactly totally likable. Exactly. I don't know. I mean, Elise is fine, kind of, pretty. I don't know, pretty much, I suppose. She has her moments, but she can also be a little annoying occasionally. And Chris is also kind of like same boat of, I don't know, not that interesting. Occasionally says something funny, I suppose, but not usually. Nothing, I don't know. There's nothing really drawing me to these characters versus My Little Pony. I don't know. It feels like there's a bit. Again, I'm saying this, I'm just going in a circle. They're not as mean-spirited, I guess, or jerks, or I don't know, just unlikable. I can appreciate. I can find listening to them to be pleasant and like, okay, this is a I don't know. This is these are characters that I can I don't know, be engaged to what's happening be engaged to what's happening to them and what they're doing. Perhaps a bit more relatable, maybe. And so again, that's like the whole characters thing of it helps that, or the character. So yeah, you got mean-spiritedness, I suppose, or the negative aspect of My Little Pony. I mean, of Dan versus brings it down versus My Little Pony doesn't have that. I also like the characters more in My Little Pony, I guess, as opposed to, or I am more engaged to the characters in My Little Pony versus Dan versus, and even with and yeah, I was gonna bring up Harley Quinn again because like that's like, how do I feel about My Little Pony versus Harley Quinn? Actually, I think the characters in Harley Quinn are more, I don't know, maybe they just have more interesting. That probably wasn't worth bringing up. I was trying to bring Harley Quinn in because it's Harley Quinn is negative or very cynical and pessimistic, but still manages to be entertaining and probably more entertaining than My Little Pony. But I was gonna make that something about the characters, but then I think if I had to say which characters I liked more, Harley Quinn characters or My Little Pony characters, I think I enjoy the interactions I think I enjoy the interactions of characters in Harley Quinn, but I don't know that I like the characters more in Harley Quinn versus I might like the characters more in My Little Pony. And I was trying to make a point that like, oh, see, it isn't just negative stuff that I don't like, but that's kind of proving the point that maybe it is negative stuff that I don't like. But since the only difference between, or the biggest difference that comes to my mind in comparing the two characters is that the characters in My Little Pony are more nice, likable, relatable, versus Harley Quinn characters a bit more mean, jerks, not really nice to people, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I guess if I had to say like what needs to be changed in Dan versus in order to make it so I tolerate it as much as I tolerate My Little Pony interactions, I guess either like, because it all hinges on are the type of jokes the same between both shows, and I feel like maybe I'm being too generous, but I feel more inclined to say, yeah, they basically are. They're like the same type of, like, someone makes a funny comment or just full of funny comments or funny circumstances, you know, stuff that, or punchlines, just random punchlines all throughout. And Dan versus definitely goes more ham on that. But I don't like, even if, I don't know, maybe I would feel differently if My Little Pony was more joke heavy, but I feel like even if My Little Pony was more joke heavy, the type of I feel like I don't mind the jokes in My Little Pony as much as I mind the jokes in Dan versus. And again, to clarify, I think I made it a bigger deal than it actually is, at least in these later episodes, of how cringy I find these bad jokes. I don't think most of the show I'm cringing or anything. Most of the show is just bland stimulation, I suppose, or kind of unengaged stimulation, where it's not at all entertaining. I'm like getting almost no enjoyment, except for a few, like, every now and then something funny will happen. Like one attempt at a joke will make me laugh or something, but that's not common. However, I don't think it's filled with jokes that are like cringy. I think it's just like, if Dan because it's weird, because I'm thinking, like, if Dan versus really had a positive tone like My Little Pony, would I then enjoy the show, or would I at least find the jokes to be on the same level as My Little Pony? And I'm kind of inclined to say no. I feel like even if we gave Dan versus a more positive, lighthearted tone, the jokes are still a little... I'm more likely to find the jokes to be bland, versus in My Little Pony, I'm more likely to... I don't know. Maybe I'm slightly more likely to be amused in My Little Pony to most of the jokes. Slightly more amused, like, still not amused, but like in comparison to Dan versus, where I'm not at all amused, I might be slightly more amused in My Little Pony. And I don't even know if, like, changing the tone of Dan versus would fix that. Like, I think it's just the type of the way jokes are made, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. We're getting into vague, uncharted territories where I don't really know how I feel. So, but if I had to say something substantive, maybe, or I don't know, just something a bit more conclusive, but still respecting the ground that I don't, not saying anything that I don't feel confident in. At the very least, I know that I don't think I like Dan versus, or I think I don't like Dan versus because of the more negative tone, and because the characters aren't enjoyable. And maybe, I know I mentioned something about the voice actors. I think the voice actors in Dan versus are still pretty good. Like, Dan's voice actor, I don't think I gave him enough credit. I feel like he does a pretty consistently good job of, like, I don't know. I think he's got a good voice for the character, I suppose. And it's like, I can buy this character. I'm not thinking there's a voice actor behind this character. I get that a little bit with Chris, but not usually. Elise, only partly, but not usually. And I still like them. And I still call them good voice actors. And then there's just, like, I think part of it also, maybe it's just the cheapness of it. Like, so many voice actors are reused, and not that they're... I know My Little Pony reuses a butt ton of voice actors as well, but I don't know. For some reason, it just feels masked better, or maybe, I don't know, I just like it more. I don't know. Or maybe it really is just the voice actors. Like, I feel like I hear more Tara Strong characters in Dan versus than in My Little Pony. I mean, maybe she just masks her voice better, but I feel like she comes up a lot in Dan versus. I think that's who it is. Yeah. And then there's also this other... I don't know. It just seems like the same... Like, I don't know any of the other voice actors' actual names. I just know them as, like, different characters from different things. Like, SpongeBob or Dr. Two Brains or the Ice King, I think, gets cycled in pretty frequently in Dan versus. And then gosh, I know he's in way other stuff and this isn't, but gosh, now I can't even think of his name. The rock monster from Chowder. Gosh, Mung? Nope, that's the dad. What's his name? Rada guy. I swear I have it, but I'm just gonna look it up. I'm in front of my computer. Whatever. Rada guy. Chowder. What's his name? Rada. Schnitzel! The voice of Schnitzel gets cycled in Dan versus a lot. And then, oh gosh, what's the raspy voice girl who's like, gosh, what is her name? I don't know well, she's in so much, but I can't think of a single thing besides Dan versus right now that she's in. But like, if you watch Dan versus, I'm sure you'll recognize her voice. It's the, oh, hi, how you guys doing? I don't know, it's a terrible impression, but gosh, I don't know what she's from. I think she might have been in Code Kid. What is this show called? Kids Next Door or something? Code Kids Next Door. Is that the actual name of the show? I'm looking it up. Code name Kids Next Door. That's the actual name of the show. I think one of the girls is played by this raspy female voice actor, and they do good, I think, but I don't know, for some reason they just don't appeal to me. Like, when I hear them, it just doesn't, I don't know, I feel like it's slightly more unpleasant than when I recognize that, like, you know, one of the My Little Pony, one of the main six or whatever in My Little Pony are, you know, voicing an NPC character or something like that. Like when Spike voices the mayor or Spike voices any one of the I don't know why I'm calling an NPC. I don't know what they're called, unimportant ponies or whatever. Like Spike voices a lot of unimportant ponies. I guess they all kind of do that, but I just noticed it in particular with Spike. But I don't mind that. I notice it, but it's not huge. But when I notice these voice actors that I just mentioned for Dan versus, it just, I don't know, it doesn't. It's not terrible. It's not bad even, really. It's just I don't dig it, I guess, is the only way I can think to put it. It just strikes me as maybe cheap feeling, or yeah, maybe just cheap feeling is the best way to put it. I think Dan versus just overall has a cheap quality to it that feels that maybe partly drags it down, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a minor nitpick, I suppose, but yeah, I guess that's just how I feel. Voice actors and such versus, you know, My Little Pony. What else is there to, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something objective to say about why I like the My Little Pony voice actors more, aside from, you know, its positive tone. Like, but I still feel like I enjoy the voice actors in My Little Pony more, ignoring the positive tone. I think they just I don't know, strike me better, I guess. I don't know, maybe it is the positive tone, but I don't, and maybe it is the fact that I'm just not used to these voices, whereas like I've heard all these other voice actors, ignoring Dan, Elise, and Chris. I don't know, but even then, I mean, I still like the main My Little Pony characters over Dan, Chris, and Elise, so maybe I don't know, and it's hard to compare because they do speak differently, like and, you know, I guess the positive tone does have an influence. I don't know. I just have a vague feeling that I like the voice actors more in My Little Pony more than I like the voice actors in Dan versus. But it's probably not to a huge extent, but I don't know. I think it does probably contribute to why I don't find Dan versus palatable, while I do find My Little Pony stimulating, I guess. And maybe palatable is a bit strong. Like, I just don't find Dan versus as stimulating, I suppose. But, yeah, I don't know. It kind of turned into a bit of a long discussion, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. I mostly just want to clarify, you know, I don't think the jokes, I just want to recognize that the jokes in Dan versus seem to be of a similar caliber to My Little Pony and even Littlest Pet Shop. I don't even want to. Littlest Pet Shop. That'll complicate things even more because I don't even know if that's. Ugh. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge that I do think the jokes, are of a similar caliber to My Little Pony, Littlest Pet Shop, but I feel like there's something more to why I don't like the interactions in Dan versus, whereas I do like the interactions in My Little Pony. But, I'm not totally decided on what exactly it is. I have a vague idea of something related to, the positivity, My Little Pony, the characters being more likable, and the voice actors possibly being more pleasant to listen to. But, yeah, those are my guesses as to what might be causing it. But, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like acknowledging that because I don't know. I just had I felt like the way I talked about Dan versus I might have talked about it in a way that like people would be bothered by, and reasonably so, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to clear that up. Except I literally just now I took like a good long break and I listened back and I realized I scored it like a 6 to 6.5 out of 10, and after all that I've listened to, I feel like it's closer. This after all I've experienced of the show, with being, and I checked, I'm like maybe a few episodes away from like being done with season 2, but of Dan versus. But like I don't know, with all I've experienced of it, I feel like it's closer to like maybe if anything, it's closer to a 5.5 than a 6.5. Like I get so little enjoyment out of it. And I don't know. I feel like it's not far from because I stated in the previous Dan versus review or whatever that like I'm having a hard time finding new things that are good, and I feel like this isn't that far from the new things that I don't think are good. Like I don't think this is that much of an improvement over like I don't know, more modern stuff that doesn't feel like it has a lot of effort put into it. Like. So I don't know. I feel like making that clarification, but it's interesting because I know I was like, I felt like I made it. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just thought it was weird that I spoke more positively of it back then, but I feel like I was giving it a second chance here, a bit more. I don't know, giving it a bit more. Talking it up a bit more politely, maybe, or a bit more nuancedly. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I think it's more of a 5.5 than a 6. Yeah, I don't know. Just felt like making that clarification. But yeah.